Okay, welcome back to Riders Rev. We're working on a 2024 Kawasaki Z900rs. Really cool retro looking bike. Today we're going to be installing frame sliders on this bike, only we have one catch. The customer attempted to install the frame sliders and he stripped one of the motor mount bolts. So I'm going to show you how to fix that problem and how to properly install frame sliders, not only on this bike, but on a lot of bikes that have this same issue. So let's get into it. The first and most important thing we need to do when installing frame sliders on almost every street bike is to properly jack up the motor. When you remove the two front motor mount bolts on most motorcycles, especially street bike type motorcycles, the motor wants to drop down, and then the alignment between the frame bar or rail and the motor mount becomes off. As you can see clearly in this video, the motor is hanging low. So what we need to do is find a safe place to jack up the motorcycle. In this case, it's going to be right here on the oil pan. I have an extra piece of wood here to just put up underneath it, so we're only jacking up here on the oil pan and not on the exhaust, so we can just isolate the motor itself. And then I want to show you what it looks like when the motor mount bolts are removed and the motor is not jacked up. You can see the way it's sitting in there. If you can look close enough, the motor has sunk down. So what we're going to do is we're going to jack up the motor. And you will be able to see once the motor is jacked up high enough, you should get that motor mount to align straight through to the back side. It might take quite a bit, and you might also need the rear wheel chocked tightly like that to create a differentiation between the back and the front of the motorcycle. The motor might jack up a little bit, but not give you enough gap until that suspension begins to come all the way to the top out position. Looking down now, it looks like we have a really close to a straight shot between the frame rail and the motor mount. So in this case, the customer stripped it out pretty bad. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna use a snap-on metric tap set. We're gonna choose the right tap for the job. In this case, I've already pulled it out. This is an M10 by 125 threads, and this is the frame slider bolt. Most of the time, if you have enough experience, you can match these up, see that they're the same size, and then interlock the threads. When the threads are interlocked, you know that it's the right thread pitch, and if you set up your bolt next to the tap, you can see that it's the right size. Or you can put a caliper on it and find out exactly what this is. From experience, I know this is a 10mm bolt. So now I'm going to take this tap and I'm going to run it straight through the hole in the frame. I'm going to begin to clean the threads. So you might meet some resistance when doing this job. If you do, what you want to do is you want to thread it in and then thread it back out. And that'll clear the additional aluminum shavings out. So thread it in, thread it back out. We will get to a point where it won't go anymore when it comes to the other side of the cylinder head. So that feels pretty good. Then I'm going to take some multi-purpose solvent, like this Worth stuff that I really like. I'm going to spray it inside, clean out any residual threads that might be in there. And in this case, it appears there was some factory Loctite on one side of these bolts. So we're going to use a little bit of blue Loctite on our new motor mount bolts from the manufacturer of the frame sliders. In this case, they are Evotech. I'm going to grab our torque wrench. And we're going to set to 54 Newton meters. This is an 8mm Allen head bolt for this frame slider. I'm going to begin by hand threading in this bolt to make sure it feels okay. Make sure we're getting lined up with the backside of that cylinder head, the front motor mount bolt. Feels pretty good so far, no resistance. All right, we're starting to snug up now. Okay, we're going to begin to tighten with our torque wrench. Seems like it's snugging up nice. There we go. 54 Newton meters on the stripped side of the motor mount. Problem's fixed. We're going to move to the other side and complete the job. We get visual alignment, make sure that we're going in straight on this side as well. It looks like in this case, the motor might need to drop down just a little bit. Appears that we now have a good alignment with the motor. Start the threads by hand. Starting to snug up now. .54 Newton meters, and we're good to go. That's it. Installing the frame sliders on this 2024 Z900 RS.